The California sun beat down with relentless intensity, baking the asphalt and casting long, stark shadows that seemed to writhe and twist in the heat. But a chill, far colder than any desert night, crept up my spine as we pulled up to the Reseda House of Evil. It was a feeling that transcended the physical, a primal warning that resonated deep within my bones. The engine cut out, the sudden silence amplifying the oppressive atmosphere, leaving a silence that felt unnatural, a void where the sounds of life should have been. Even the cicadas seemed to have abandoned this cursed block. This was the place whispered about in hushed tones in the paranormal community, a location spoken of with a mixture of fear and morbid fascination. A house so dark, so profoundly tainted, it repelled life itself. The very ground around it seemed barren, devoid of any vibrant color. From the street, it looked deceptively normal, almost blending in with the other houses on the block. Peeling paint, overgrown lawn, signs of neglect that hinted at a deeper malaise. The house seemed to be slowly decaying, consumed from the inside out. But something was deeply wrong, a subtle dissonance that set it apart from its neighbors. It was like a discordant note in an otherwise harmonious melody. The windows stared out like vacant eyes, dark and hollow, offering no glimpse of the life, or lack thereof, within, secrets festering behind the glass, untold stories trapped within the walls. It felt like the house was holding its breath, waiting. We've investigated countless haunted sites, from abandoned asylums to ancient battlefields, but this felt different, raw, personal, as if we were stepping into the epicenter of something truly malevolent. Legend spoke of a demonic presence, a dark entity that had taken root within the house. Not just lost souls, but an intelligent force feeding on fear, manipulating the living and the dead alike. We weren't just here to document ghosts. We were here to confront something far more sinister. We were preparing for a spiritual battle, a clash between light and darkness that could have profound consequences. We were about to enter a place locals avoided like the plague, a place whispered about in fearful tones, a place that had earned its sinister reputation through years of terror, tragedy, and unexplained phenomena. Before entering, we needed to understand the evil's roots. The Reseda house's darkness began in the late 1970s, when a hopeful family moved in, only to be destroyed by a sudden, violent tragedy. The father's personality shifted, paranoia and rage ending in a murder-suicide. The house sat vacant, a blight on the neighborhood. In the 1980s, squatters rumored to practice dark rituals moved in, believed to have invited something inhuman. Locals say these rituals supercharged the house, turning it into a domain for a powerful entity. Subsequent tenants fled after violent poltergeist activity. Objects flying, people scratched, voices tormenting them. The house broke people mentally and physically. This wasn't just a haunting, it was a demonic infestation, feeding and growing stronger for decades. Understanding this history was crucial. It mapped the darkness we were about to face. The house wasn't just haunted, it was possessed. The front door creaked open, a sound that echoed through the silent house. A groan of aged wood protesting its slumber. Releasing a blast of freezing, stale air, it felt like the house itself was exhaling a breath held for decades. The sudden chill was immediate and unsettling. Darkness swallowed the light, our flashlights struggling to penetrate the oppressive gloom. It was as if the shadows were a tangible force, eager to consume any intrusion. The living room was a void of shadows and broken furniture, a scene of utter disarray. Overturned tables, shattered glass, and ripped upholstery hinted at a violent past. Immediately, I felt watched. Not with curiosity, but with hostility. It was a palpable sense of being scrutinized, judged, and resented. The air crackled with unseen energy. We set up night vision cameras, hoping to capture any evidence of paranormal activity that might be lurking in the darkness, their green glow revealing chaos and decay, highlighting the unsettling details of the room. Every stain, every crack, every tear seemed to whisper a story of neglect and suffering. Moving deeper, the dread intensified, a heavy weight pressing down on us, making each step a struggle. The atmosphere grew thicker, more suffocating. The hallway felt like it was closing in, the walls seeming to breathe and shift in the periphery. It was a claustrophobic nightmare. The temperature dropped, 75 outside, 50 inside, a significant and sudden shivers down our spines. A classic sign of a manifesting entity, a telltale indication that something supernatural was drawing energy from the environment. Aaron grew pale, complaining of nausea and a pounding headache, symptoms often associated with exposure to negative energy. Suddenly, a heavy door at the end of the hall slammed shut with violent force, the sound echoing like a gunshot through the house. No draft, no open windows. The air was completely still, ruling out any natural explanation. Just a clear, deliberate warning, a message intended to intimidate and deter us from proceeding further. The entity was aware of us, and it was in control, manipulating the environment to assert its dominance. This wasn't going to be a passive investigation. We were no longer mere observers, but active participants in a dangerous game. We had just been challenged, baited into a confrontation with an unseen and malevolent force. Every sound was amplified, every shadow threatening, playing on our fears and anxieties. The house was feeding off our unease. The house was alive with menace, a sentient entity fueled by darkness and despair. We pressed on, knowing the real confrontation was just beginning, steeling ourselves for whatever horrors lay ahead. The game was on, and we were about to find out just how high the stakes were. With the house in lockdown, every window and door secured, we felt a strange sense of isolation. The silence was heavy, broken only by the creaks and groans of the old structure settling around us. We started our first EVP session in the living room, hoping to capture any disembodied voices or paranormal sounds that might be present. We set up our equipment, calibrated the recorders, and prepared to delve into the unknown. I asked, my voice echoing slightly in the stillness, "Is there anyone here with us? Can you hear us? If so, please give us a sign," and played back the audio, listening intently for any anomalies or responses that might have been captured. The anticipation was palpable as we waited for something, anything, to break the silence. A raspy whisper, "Get out." The voice was faint, barely audible, but undeniably there, sending a chill down our spines. The activity escalated fast. It was as if our presence had stirred something within the house, awakening a dormant energy that was now eager to make itself known. In the master bedroom, a room that felt particularly heavy with a sense of unease, a porcelain doll, which had been sitting innocently on a shelf, flew across the room, seemingly propelled by an unseen force, shattering inches from Aaron's head, a near miss that left us all shaken and on edge. The footage showed it launching on its own. No strings, no visible means of propulsion. Pure poltergeist forces. A clear indication of a powerful and potentially malevolent presence. Disembodied voices grew more aggressive, no longer whispers but distinct, chilling pronouncements. Guttural growls resonating from the depths of the house. A woman's scream echoing through the kitchen, a sound so piercing and filled with terror that it made our blood run cold. We swept the house. Every room, every corner, every shadow. No one else was there. No rational explanation for the sounds we were hearing. The entity was toying with us, manipulating our senses and emotions, replaying past traumas to feed on our fear, creating an atmosphere of intense dread and paranoia. Then shadow figures appeared, fleeting glimpses at the edge of our vision. I saw a tall, man-shaped void, a silhouette against the dim light, detached from the darkness, peeling itself away from the wall like a living shadow, and glide into a room, disappearing as quickly as it had appeared. It didn't fade. It wasn't a trick of the as it had appeared. It didn't fade. It wasn't a trick of the eye or a play of light. It moved with purpose, a deliberate and unsettling presence. This was no trick of the light. No simple optical illusion. It was a manifestation, a tangible presence from beyond the veil. The entity was growing bolder, more confident in its ability to manipulate and terrify us. Its presence undeniable, a suffocating weight that pressed down on us from all sides. The whispers became a physical force, a pressure against our chests, making it hard to breathe. Our nerves were fraying, our resolve tested to its limits. The house was no longer just haunted, a place with a history of sadness and loss. It was hostile, actively working against us, seeking to drive us out or worse. We braced for what would come next, knowing that the night was far from over and that the worst was likely yet to come. The house's anger became relentless. Doors rattled. Footsteps thundered in the sealed attic. The sense of being watched turned into feeling hunted. I entered the master bedroom alone, determined to confront the darkness. In the pitch black, I demanded, "What do you want?" A guttural roar exploded beside my ear, and the temperature plunged. Suddenly, pain ripped across my back, 3 burning scratches. Aaron and Jay rushed in. The marks were fresh, bleeding. The entity had escalated to physical assault. Fear thickened the air, feeding the entity's strength. Equipment malfunctioned. Batteries drained. Cameras died. The house was in full paranormal chaos. We were under siege, and the entity was in control. The storm had arrived. The darkness now moved with intent. Shadow figures became more defined, captured on our cameras. One impossibly tall figure stood in the child's bedroom doorway, radiating malice. I investigated the hallway, calling out, "Show yourself." A hunched, animal-like shape darted from the bathroom, vanishing before I could film it. The house was infested with these entities, no longer hiding but stalking us. Our SLS camera revealed a contorted stick figure on the master bed, then a massive, inhuman shape appeared beside it. This was the demonic force, the master of the house. The shadow figures were its extensions, its eyes and ears. We weren't just dealing with ghosts. We were trespassers in a realm of living shadows. The house was its kingdom, and we were intruders. The evidence was undeniable. The entity's power was growing. We realized we were facing something far beyond a typical haunting. The true danger was now clear. The night's climax hit without warning. Back in the master bedroom, I provoked the entity. "You scratched me. Is that all you've got?" Instantly, a wave of freezing energy slammed into me, crushing my chest. My vision tunneled, a voice screamed inside my head. Vile, hateful, trying to break my will. I felt it trying to break my will. I felt it trying to invade my mind, a terrifying sense of possession. I fought back, yelling, "You are not welcome." Icy hands gripped my limbs, rage not my own surged through me. Aaron and Jay burst in, dragging me out. Crossing the doorway, the pressure vanished. I collapsed, gasping for air. The experience left me shaken, the entity's attempt to consume me seared into my memory. This was the most intense encounter of my life. The Reseda House of Evil had shown its true power. It didn't just want to scare us. It wanted to consume us. It wanted to consume us. Leaving the house, the oppressive weight finally lifted, but its darkness clung to us. The drive away was silent, each of us processing the ordeal. The scratches on my back burned for days, leaving faint scars. Nightmares haunted me for weeks, replaying the psychic attack. My energy was drained, paranoia lingering. The entity had marked me physically and emotionally. Even our equipment bore scars. Batteries fried, files corrupted. The house's energy was corrosive, damaging everything it touched. We left with more than evidence. We carried the weight of what we'd witnessed. The Reseda house fought back on every level. The scars, seen and unseen, remained. Weeks later, the memory of Reseda lingers, vivid and haunting. The evil there is real, intelligent, powerful, and hateful. We sought answers and found confirmation that some doorway should never be opened. The encounter changed me, stripping away any romanticism about ghost hunting. I now understand the reality of spiritual warfare. The questions remain: can such evil ever be cleansed? Or is the land forever tainted? The fear I felt has become a renewed sense of purpose. The Reseda house of evil still stands, a silent predator. I caution anyone drawn to its darkness, do not seek it out. We left a piece of ourselves behind in that suffocating shadow.